Hey everybody, this is Travelin' Trav, and I am eating cancel for breakfast. If you haven't watched your brother die of alcoholism and your father possessed by demons, I don't expect you will get my work. If you have yet to be completely honest with yourself about how you struggle with addiction in its many and varied forms, we all do, I don't expect you'll understand. If you haven't given everything just to come up with nothing, and finally stopped blaming everyone else for that, you won't have any use for my words. If you haven't struggled with suicidal thoughts, if you haven't been to a psych unit, if you haven't had that cavity search, you are not ready. If you haven't submitted to countless teachers and spiritual programs, forget it. Move on. If you didn't learn to listen to everyone who thought they had the answer for you, never mind. If you haven't broken all the promises to everyone you said you loved while clinging on for dear life in your efforts to keep every promise you ever made, just keep swiping. If you don't have a perpetual beginner's mind, my work is not for you. If you haven't seen the one in all and the all in one, there's nothing for you here. If you are not into fearless and searching moral inventories, if you don't believe in confession as part of a spiritual practice, we have no business together. If you make yourself feel bigger by making others feel smaller, no, go somewhere else. If you don't know what it means to work out your salvation with fear and trembling, you won't understand. I eat cancel for breakfast. I do not people please. I have an extraordinarily open heart and mind. And I do not believe something just because I read it or just because you say it. I speak out against the tyranny because I exhausted myself in service of tyranny, all in my hunger to be held. If you are not exhausted by the nightmare into which you were born, we won't have anything to discuss. If you don't know what it is like to disappoint yourself as many times as you vowed to never fail again, my paradigm will only confuse you. If you consider yourself above the influence of religion and metaphor, God bless you. If you are content in the status quo, if the religions that you inherited serve you sufficiently, I have absolutely nothing to offer you. My message is for those who have been praying for a stronger back, not a lighter load, and still the load has become too heavy to carry. All of you who labor, all of you who are heavy laden, come to me. I will give you rest. My yoke is easy and my burden is light. This is what Jesus said, the Word. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Yours in Christ, Travelin' Trav. Here's a quote from Fyodor Dostoevsky. He says, "What is hell? I maintain that it is the suffering of being unable to love." And I reposted this by saying, Christ grants us the gift of loving even our enemies. Even as we bear our cross, we are free to love. And that is exactly the love that Dostoevsky is referring to here. No one wants the cross, not even Jesus, Yeshua. We say, Father, take this cup from me, for our flesh cannot bear that rejection. And then, by a miracle of love, we say, not my will, but yours be done, Father. And now we are free in surrender to God's will, to Christ's will. Over and over again, as many times as it takes, we are crucified, buried, and resurrected. Never give up, always surrender. Did you know that Dostoevsky spent a good deal of time in Siberian prison camps? He also suffered with seizures and failing health, and he had a vision of the Christ. He is, he's a witness for me. And then this is cool. David Ivy, a guy that I follow online, left me a couple Nietzsche quotes here. He says, love is a state in which man sees things most decidedly as they are not. And that's interesting, right? Because, yeah, love is that state in which we see through things into another realm. And then, since it's Nietzsche, you have to wonder, like, maybe he's just saying, like, once again, he's just reiterating that religion is the opiate of the masses here. But then there's another quote here: that which is done out of love is always beyond good and evil. And that's right on with the non-binary understanding of who Jesus was. Jesus being the one who came to free us from the knowledge of good and evil, the knowledge of right and wrong, the binary. And then, you have all these Eastern teachers speaking of the non-dual or the non-binary. And to me, that is who Jesus was, as he came to free us from the law or the binary realm, the matrix. And here's my response to David Ivy. Nietzsche is wild to me, the one who helped us to see God by declaring God is dead. Thus spoke Zarathustra, the Superman. And he struggled with his own manhood so violently, as I understand, demoralized by his own weakness. He's a paradox to me, an iconic figure of philosophy that I dare not try to understand more than I have just mentioned, simply because I have already seen myself so clearly in him. And therefore, I have somehow escaped the traditional fear and loathing so commonly associated with him as he is associated with atheism. I can only see the Christ in our brother Fred. It's the only conclusion to which I can safely arrive after a very dangerous journey, which he now represents to me archetypally and iconically. I am grateful that I do not have to rewrite his books or walk exactly in his footsteps. He is one of those who died a death so that we would not have to, a Christ figure. He is certainly one of my greatest teachers. Thanks for sharing these quotes. Pertinent indeed.